So,
Okay.
I am here with Nick, who is the owner of Black Swan Books.
That's right.
And we are sitting in your lovely rare books room, as I can tell. I just wanted to ask you a few basic questions about independent bookstores and books in general. So let's start with the most basic one. Why are books good? I mean, I have a TV at home. I could basically watch the film versions of Pride and Prejudice or Frankenstein or any of the classic books. Why are books better?
Well, for starters, no matter how many channels you have, you don't have as many choices as you have in books, because there are millions and millions of books. I forget how many are published every year, but there's something like 200,000 new books, new titles, every single year. So go back over the last few centuries, and God knows how many millions of titles there are. So you have many, many choices to begin with. Reading takes you into a world that's different from the visual world of cinema or television. And I can't talk very well over that music. I feel like...
Oh no, it's quite all right.
So I think reading uses a different part of the brain and engages people differently. Some books are meant to be read aloud. There's a rhythm to the prose that Faulkner, for example, is, I think, it's a good thing to read him out loud from time to time. Other books are, they simply transport you into a different world. The movie you have very little control over. You put the movie on, yes, you can pause it if you're watching it at home, go get yourself something to drink, whatever. But a book, to me it feels like you are more in charge of the world in the book. And you can decide, okay, I want to read all the book tonight. I want to read just a chapter. But I feel that there's a more engaged relationship between the author and the reader than there is between the viewer and the movie producers.
Okay. I did want to ask you, as far as independent bookstores go, because that's what this is all about, what do you think the advantage is in going or owning a independent bookstore over, say, a big chain like Barnes & Noble? What's the advantage there?
Well, to begin with, I mean, it's like apples and oranges. We're completely different from the big box stores. And that's in part because we are not selling new books. We're not an independent new bookstore, and there are still some, and they're wonderful places because the independent store tends to engage more with the customer, tends to say, oh, I love this book, we read this, my friend read this, our book club read this, whatever. There's more of that in an independent store than in the big box stores. But aside from that, we're not selling new books. We're selling old books, collectible books, and you could make the case that our books aren't even meant to be read. They're meant to be enjoyed as objects. I mean, you're not going to curl up in the bathtub with that set of Plutarch's Lives there. You're going to, if you want to read it, you're going to get the paperback version. You're going to order it off Amazon for nothing because it's in the public domain, or you'll download it to your Kindle, but you're not going to get an early 19th century binding and sit down and read it. I suppose you could. You could have a glass of whiskey in a cut glass container and sit in your library and peruse it, but you're not going to curl up in bed with it or take it into the bath, which is my favorite place to read. Enough said.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, tell us about this particular room, because you did mention it. This is the rare book room. What can you tell us about some of the books that are in here? And if you had to say, what is your oldest book that you have? What is the earliest?
The earliest, I'll start with the second part because that's the easier part. The earliest are probably, there's a group over in that case that were printed in Venice by Aldus Manutius, who was one of the very earliest printers, and they date back to the 1500s. Not quite the cradle of printing, that was around 1490, but quite early nonetheless. And they're actually marvelous books. They're made so much with so much more integrity than new books. I mean, if you go to Barnes & Noble and you buy a book and you make the mistake of dropping it when you get home, it's likely to fall out of its binding. You could take one of the Aldus Manutius books, which are bound in vellum and are hand sewn with fairly heavy cords. You could take that and throw it across the room and nothing would happen to it, really.
But probably don't want to do that.
Please, but you know what I mean. It's a completely different animal from new books. We have the rare book room to sort of showcase, obviously, more important and expensive books. I'm sorry to say there's a little need for protecting them from being lifted.
Absolutely.
But, you know, mostly people don't steal books.
It's good. That's a very good thing.
Yeah.
Especially...
Which isn't to say we haven't had some loss, because we have.
Right. Because these are very, very rare books,
yeah.
it seems.
We had a book signed by Tolkien stolen some years ago.
Really?
And I thought, we looked high and low for it. It was just gone. We reported it to the police. And 2 years later, a policeman came to my door at home, knocked on the door and said, "You might be interested in this." And there was my signed Tolkien returned to me. So that was fortunate.
That is very good.
Yeah.
I did want to ask, what would you say that, for at least your bookstore, are the best-selling genres?
You know, probably Civil War and local history are our strongest sellers, and I say that because obviously there's local interest, but there are also a number of rare Civil War books and rare early Virginia books that there's a lot of interest in, so we can sell them for a fair amount of money.
And
but having said that, we are a general shop, so we sell all kinds of different things. And there's a kind of, it took me a while to learn this, I've been doing this for 15 years now, there's a kind of, after a while, the shop begins to reflect the things I think are neat, because you don't buy everything. So you buy stuff that you get engaged with, and there's an awful lot of stuff that walks in the door that I don't buy because it doesn't do much for me.
I did just want to ask, like any bookstore, you probably have repeat customers, loyal customers. What do you think really keeps bringing them back?
New inventory. And it's not just that. That's important. We have a lot of turnover. We buy, I don't know how many new books every week, but hundreds of new books every week. And so people are always coming in to see what's new. But I think there's also a kind of community in a bookshop. I mean, our customers know us, we know them. They come in, we talk and show them the new stuff and say, "You're going to really like this. This is an incredible book," or "This book has, look at this book plate." I mean, all kinds of stuff we can point out to folks. And the other piece of that is that people who are really into books are quite mad. And so they are going to keep coming back because they just can't help themselves.
It's very true. I did just want to ask you one more thing.
Yeah.
How long have you been in the book business? And if you had to say, what is your, and I know that this is hard, because asking anyone that likes books is very hard to answer this, but what is your favorite book?
I've been in the book business 15 years. I have the faintest idea what my favorite book is. I have an awful lot of books that I'm quite enchanted with. I do love 19th century bindings. Some of them are real. I know this particular area doesn't have them, but the cloth bindings, like that Art Russia book, I find quite enchanting. And I've got a lot of books at home, but I don't collect anything in particular. I just have stuff that I like.
Well, Nick, it has been a distinct pleasure. I cannot thank you enough.
You bet. Thank you very much.
And everyone, don't forget, come to Black Swan Books. It is on.
Please.
Would you like to give them the address?
The corner of Main and Robinson, across from the Starlight. More people know the Starlight than know us.
You heard it here, folks. Come on down, visit, stop, read a while.